name's Dale Kessler. Dale's been in the industry for over 20 years, if I'm right. Your specialty is REO and foreclosures, and you're super passionate about health, fitness, and I love your views on mindset, so we'll get into that. But tell us your story. How'd you get here? What do you do? Give us the details.
So my name's Dale Kessler. I own Realty 365 locally here. Used to be REO Complete Real Estate. I rebranded to get more traditional business under the roof and recruit some agents. But where I started, I went to Lehigh accounting, kind of lived in that world for a little bit, and eventually fell into real estate and opened my own brokerage. Because I had a background in accounting and I wanted to invest in properties, I figured, well, why not try to get some of these bank foreclosures as listings? So there was one or two people at the time who had the majority of the business, and I was like, how are these people getting all of this business? There was a guy that was so Gary Keller owns Keller Williams. He's just got these books out on how to be great agents. And the people he interviewed in his Millionaire Real Estate Agent book were all multi-millionaire real estate agents. And this guy was quoted in the book that was local here. And I'm like, how this guy's doing this much business? There's got to be room for somebody else. So I just started to try to break in, eventually broke in. And now I probably have about 30 different banks I work with. I do government stuff with Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, HUD, the FDIC, the VA. I do all their stuff. I also cover private hedge funds, Bank of America, Chase, Citi, Nation Star, all those banks. I work with every one of them. So I've probably moved listing-wise about 3,900 properties myself. So my team is not a team of agents, it's just a team of admin. So I'll have somebody who handles my closings, somebody who handles my bookkeeping, 2 or 3 runners, and myself. So you hear agents out there closing 300-400 deals, but they've got a team of 40 agents. When you hear somebody selling 300 or 400 in a year and they're a team of 1, it's a totally different volume. And that's the kind of volume that I would move with the banks. Some of the things that I wanted to touch on while I'm here, I mean, it's a little bit about what I do. I do traditional work too and all those kind of things, but what I'm known for here, banks. Like when you see banks, if you're local and you're looking stuff up online and it's listed with a bank, there's a good chance my name's going to be on it. And not because I'm super smart, I just worked my ass off. I literally just worked my ass off and tried to do the business. I slept in my office. I did all those things to just make sure I could get to work. So as far as the bank's foreclosures go, stuff that I wanted to kind of touch base with you guys. I'm sure a lot of you are out there doing wholesale stuff. You're sending mailers out. You're doing all these different things to try to get business. And honestly, you're going to probably get your best deals doing what you're doing. But the bank foreclosures, REO listings have their place. And the place that they are is, one big example is if there's blemishes on some of these properties that you guys are trying to take pre-foreclosure, there's potential title issues that you're going to have to clear, and it's going to be a problem. And you don't want to deal with it because it can cost you a lot of money. But you buy a post-foreclosure after the bank already foreclosed, they're going to handle clearing that title. So in that case, you may pay up a little bit when they list it after it's foreclosed, but you're eliminating that risk. So it's something right now that there's not too many of them, so you're not getting the best deals per se, but there's ones out there that need a lot of work that owner occupants aren't going to grab. Maybe there's some specialty things that, maybe you're a roofer, maybe you're an HVAC guy, and one particular property is huge, and the roof replacement's $80,000. Well, for anybody else bidding on it, it's going to be a problem, but you can probably do it for 20, 30, so you're able to just go a little higher than everybody else and lock that deal up. So even right now, as the market shifts and things are slow, keeping your guys busy is important. Like if you got a crew of guys working and you can't keep them busy, they ain't staying with you. They're gonna go work with the other guy. Now you ain't got anybody to work with. So even if you're just breaking even, making a little bit of money, but you keep them busy enough until the next deals start coming through, it's a good idea to pick up those kind of properties for those reasons. So there's not a ton of foreclosures out there right now. I don't know how many of you have been like through 2008 and dealt with all the foreclosures. There was a time I was bringing in 30, 40 new assets every month. Like, literally, inventory had 200-300 sitting in the background, and I would constantly have no less than 30 or 40 assets on the market at any one time. And that was pretty much just in the valley. Now I've covered Jersey, I get to Philly, and I get up to like Wilkes-Barre, Scranton area as well. And that's strictly because there's not as much of that particular niche that I specialize in, so I've just expanded my market a little bit. But as far as you guys go, that's where the REOs can kind of play a role. And the other place that you want to look is I work with auction companies. So a lot of times guys aren't going to Hubzu, Zone, auction.com. There's all these other websites where you guys can go and bid on these properties and possibly lock up a decent deal. Now, the thing you're gonna run into on an auction is it's literally sight unseen. Most of them you're not able to get into, they're occupied. So there's a little risk there. But I've got quite a few investors that they love grabbing them. Because if they grab 15 of them, either 15 or 14 were decent inside. Yeah, you get that one once in a while, it sucks, and it's a total shitbox. But it usually, for the most part, it pays off. And when you're looking at the outside of a property, you'll have a good idea what the inside's gonna look like. It does usually follow suit.
Wait, I have a question. Where is the legal and ethical barrier between going inside when you're not supposed to and not?
I know nothing about people going inside of properties.
I'm not saying you do or you know anybody. I'm not saying you recommend it.
And I honestly don't know, when they're going to sheriff's sale, and you guys are going to the sheriff's sale, I don't know, somehow y'all get in. There may be a certain set of keys that some people have to get in. There may be open windows. There's definitely, there's the gray area. And if you want to push that gray area, I don't think it's a problem. Look, at the end of the day, whenever you acquire those properties, you're improving that neighborhood. Like, the goal is to improve the neighborhoods. Some other things that I wanted to touch on. So there's just a few things here that I wanted to touch on. I want to make sure that I get to a few of these things. One, just a little bit about me. The next thing that I wanted to talk about is like the agents that are helping you. I know there's at least one or two agents in the room.
Agents?
Okay, a few, 3 or 4. You will go on websites, looking at Zillow, looking at all these different places, and it's going to say foreclosure specialist, and somebody pops up. 99% of them have no fucking clue how to deal with a foreclosure. They don't. They just literally put foreclosure specialist next to their name, short sale they don't know anything. They just don't. The people that you truly want to work with that know the stuff is someone like myself, and I'm not trying to get you guys to just come work with me or anything. I know the other side of the REO through the listings, so I know what the bank's looking for. And if an agent's never listed a bank foreclosure, or they don't do it consistently, they don't know what the bank wants. They don't know what the bank's thinking. Like, some of my clients, they're locked into a number for a reason. They don't tell me, here's what we acquired it for, and here's what we need to get. I never have that conversation with a client. I don't care. Why? What the market bears is what the market bears. If you have a house that they're into it for 200 and it's falling down, they're getting 50. They can play the game of trying to list it for 150 and let it sit there, but the market's going to dictate. And sometimes they're good because you guys will say, "Oh, I see they took it back for $3,000. Why don't they take 75? Because they can get 600. Like, why would they bother? So the market's going to bear what they're going to bear. Now, on that side, though, there's some tricks that you can do, and these are other things that there are few agents that work buyers and investors all the time, and they start to develop a relationship with like someone like myself, and then they kind of know where they need to be. And some of them, I can also give them some insight. That's when they build those relationships with guys that list the properties. Well, now all of a sudden, I ain't got anybody on it. Listen, you get it into this price range, I think I can get the bank to take it. Like, I'm going to have those conversations with people that I start to build a relationship with. So there are definitely some good agents out there who can help you with REO, but you want to have somebody who's gonna understand when you're coming to the table, you gotta come correct. So, we get investors who do deals privately. So you guys will go out there and buy properties in wholesale and see you buy them from somebody's just trying to move a house quick, they're trying to get out of the area and you get a good deal. You own XYZ Corporation. Here's my paperwork, I'm buying an XYZ Corp. Here's my proof of fund, your name's John, proof of fund's John, XYZ Corp's buying it. In that world, that's fine. In my world, that's not how that works. You bring me proof of funds out of your personal account, I don't care. Your money has to be in the business because it's a separate entity. Like, that's like you buying a house with me and giving me your mom's proof of funds as cash. Like, my mom, here's my mom, she's gonna pay for it. How do I know that you're authorized to do that? I don't know that. So you have to make sure that everything lines up. So if you're gonna buy it in a corporation, doing a foreclosure, you wanna have your LLC documents available, you wanna have your proof of funds in a bank account with the same entity, and everything in order in that manner so that you guys can, because when your offer goes in, there's nothing for the bank to come back at. And on a cash deal on bank foreclosures, it's always 10%. At least 10%. Do not bring me a cash deal that's less than 10% of the purchase price. It just, you're trying to minimize the likelihood the bank's gonna counter you. And the reason why you do that is the bank is probably gonna take a day or two to get you an answer. So guess what could happen in a day or two? Somebody else brings an offer. Now we're multiple offers. Now I'm pinning you against each other and see who I can push higher.
And say that again, you said 10%, don't bring something over 10% of purchase price.
No, if you're, don't bring it under. Don't bring
Gotcha.
something under. So if you're buying it for 200, the deposit's 20,000 bucks if you're cash. And if it's anything less than that, my clients are thinking, this guy's buying this cash, but he doesn't have 20 grand to put down?
Oh, I see, just on deposit you're saying?
Correct, just for
Okay,
earnest
got
money
it.
deposit,
Got
yeah,
it.
so I apologize if that wasn't clear.
No, perfect.
Just for earnest money deposit, that's what they wanna hold. The banks, I wanna say 90% of the bigger banks and institutions, doesn't matter who you use for title, their title company's holding the earnest money. Your agent's not holding it, my brokerage isn't holding it, their title company is. Now you can also use their title company. So, and that's a double-edged sword. What I typically tell people is if you're an owner occupant buying a foreclosure, because there's a lot of really nice foreclosures out there too, you may want to use their title company. Reason being is title's title. Title policy has to follow certain rules. Whoever's doing it doesn't really matter. There's some minor fee differences, but for the most part, it's the same across the board. If you go with the bank's title, usually there's a stipulation in there that they'll cover the title policy. So you're saving, if you're buying a $500,000 house, you're saving $3,000, $4,000, $5,000. Now it's not going to be an enhanced policy, but I don't know anyone in all the deals I've ever done, not one person has ever bought an enhanced policy. They just don't really serve a purpose. So enhanced policies, there's a little bit higher thresholds for certain things. It's just not worth the money.
Interesting.
So when you're buying these bank properties again, now the downside is you typically are not splitting transfer tax. So you as the buyer are gonna cover that 2% transfer tax in PA. If you're in Philly, there's a little bit more. Usually now with government deals, that's non-negotiable. And the reason being is if they ever get sued, now they set a precedence by allowing one person to do it. They should allow everybody because we're gonna have a little equality type of thing going on. So they don't do that at all. It's really non-negotiable. You have to pay the 2%. But on the upside, if you use their title company, it kind of evens out a little bit.
Right.
Okay. Other things that you can do, just super clean offers. Just try to bring your offer as clean as you can. If you need to do inspections, you do the inspections.
In case somebody here is like, what does a clean offer mean? Give me a couple things just to...
So the cleanest of offers is obviously cash, no inspections, quick close. With a bank, 20-ish days cash is usually what they like to see. 20 to 30 is totally fine. And it's also area dependent. Allentown may take longer to do certain inspections. Cash, quick close, asking price or higher. That's kind of as clean as you get.
Clean as it gets.
And then the next one is going to be hard money, and hard money is not cash. So there's a lot of people out there who think hard money and cash are the same. It's not the same. If the hard money guy pulls his funds, you ain't got the cash. So when you put a deal in, and this is what some agents don't know, well, it's cash. Well, they're using this hard money, but it's cash. No, it's not. It's not cash. So I have to then explain to them like what that is and why it's not. And again, you just have to you're dealing with a company and a business. You're not dealing with private individuals. So you've got to come correct. Just like you were going to the bank to get a loan, you've got to have all your documents in order, and they expect the same thing when you're doing these kind of deals.
So I'm assuming if you were to say, hey, I have cash, but you're doing hard money, and then they're going to say, okay, where's proof of funds? And then you don't have proof of funds because you don't have the cash, and in some way, that's where you're saying it could get tripped up, just as an example.
And that's why when they're bringing offers to me, I require all of these things, down to the letter of how are you taking title? Because now, with things getting automated, they go into a portal. Once you're accepted, and sometimes even your agent is actually having to put it into that portal for you, I may not even see it. It goes directly from the agent, the client sees it. But once one gets accepted, whatever you put into that portal, they auto-generate the documents. And if you put John J. Smith, and it was just supposed to be John Smith, and he doesn't want to take, now we have to redo all the paperwork. Right? So it's just those little things that sound silly, but it's what makes a difference, right? And it helps get your transaction in faster. And why do I want to get your transaction in faster? Because until seller and buyer have executed documents in full, another offer comes in, I'm submitting it, and you're potentially going to lose the deal that you got accepted. Just because you're accepted doesn't mean anything in the world with banks. And it'll say right on most of the emails that I send out, please note, until seller executes docs and everything's fully executed, the seller is still considering any other offers that come in. And if one comes in higher and they want to, they may come back to both of you highest and best again. And I just don't like seeing people get pissed off, because like that would piss me off. Yeah. If I have a deal and my agent hasn't shared with me like the things that could go wrong, and we have a deal, we're doing all this paperwork, and then all of a sudden, well, another offer came in. Well, dude, what do you mean? Like, we were accepted. Right. No, technically, well, why didn't you tell me that up front? Right. Like, those are the little things that you guys are going to want to know up front to just help the transaction move smooth.
So, real quick question for you. One of the things that I noticed that you keep referencing in a way or a roundabout way is that, like, you're an expert in your field and you specialize in your niche. And so, if somebody here is kind of all over the place, or maybe they're trying this or they're trying that, and they're kind of not sure what they want, or they're just trying to cover a big market, what would you say to them in terms of like, you should probably niche down or just be an expert at this one thing?
Being an expert is very important, but there's a lot of factors that go into it. Are you 60, 70 years old, you're trying to jump in the game? Or are you 19, 20? It plays a role. Do you have a family? Do you have a wife? Do you have a husband? Do you have kids? Do you have other obligations? Do you have another job? Like, all these things are factoring in. So now if you're just getting into the game, okay, let's shotgun. Let's see what's out there, let's dabble a little bit, and I'm gonna take, let's just say for argument's sake, I'm 30 years old. I'm gonna take the next couple years to focus on these 2 or 3 things that I'm really, like, I don't wanna do commercial. So there's commercial, residential. I don't really like the commercial thing, but I wanna stick to the residential. Multifamily, single family. Okay, single families, I can grab them cheaper. It's easier for me to get those deals. And eventually, I buy enough doors that I sell them off and maybe go multifamily then, because it becomes easier for me to manage. Sure. You know, so there's all these different things you guys are gonna have to factor in, but specializing is super important. But then once you specialize, so like I have done, at first I got into business, I did a little bit of everything. But I was like, investors are my thing. Like, I understand construction, I understand accounting stuff. I can help somebody do a 1031 exchange, I can help them with their taxes, I can help them set up a company, explain an LLC versus an S Corp versus a C Corp, why you should do them these way. That gives me, I sound smart. I don't know shit about real estate yet, but I know this. So let me talk to these people and I'll figure the rest out. So I just started working with some investors and anything that would come my way. Then eventually, as I was doing that, I was like, these dudes listing these foreclosures, in a shitty market, there's foreclosures. In a great market, there's foreclosures because there's always divorces, deaths. There's all these different factors. So from an analysis perspective, like a SWOT analysis perspective, this is good. Like, this is something I should get into. And then I saw what they were making and the volume they were doing, and like, I could have 2, 3, 4 clients and have a lot of volume. So I just sat there and said, you can do this in any industry. You just have to sit down and analyze it and say, okay, what are the pros and cons to each of these things? And where's my heart? Like, what do I feel I would gravitate towards? Maybe I don't know yet, and maybe I might be wrong, but you gotta go straight after something. So I went head down. It got to the point where I was like, I am not doing an open house for anybody ever again. I'm not going to anybody's house and sitting at their table with their kids running around. I want nothing to do with that. I am literally gonna work on these bank properties. So I did what's called broker price opinions, because I was told that's a way to get in the game. So I did those. I made like $70,000 a year running around for $50 a property, taking pictures and doing values on the properties. But little did I know, doing that kind of stuff taught me how to be a rock star at analyzing deals and valuing properties. So when I got an opportunity to list a foreclosure, my numbers were on point. And the clients score you on a scorecard. So I'm based on performance. I have to get tasks in on time. My values have to be within plus or minus 5% of list price. There's all these little things that I'm gauged against. But that got me really good at valuing properties in any market. So I also am licensed in Florida. I was in Palm Beach for a few years while my team ran the business here. I was down there. I got into that market, got my license, and honestly, I had 12 listings down there within a couple months. Because my connections with the bank, some of them were cool with me doing business in both. I just started, but I could value properties quick because I just sat down and said, here's the market, here's what things look like, cool, let me go look at a few properties, and you get it. You guys start in a market, understand it, value your properties, figure out the numbers. You can go anywhere you want. That's why these guys are buying deals in Chicago, they're buying them in Florida, they're buying them in Arizona. Because once you start to analyze a market, you know a market. I mean, it's not difficult. So as far as that stuff goes, when it comes to specialization, please do it. And then what's going to happen is you get so good at what you're doing, now it's time for you to expand. So even for me in my own business, I'm really good at foreclosures. I didn't do a lot of traditional business, so then I started to do more traditional. I literally I took way too long to do that, like way too long. So I was like, fucking, I'm fat and happy. I'm just gonna stay here. Do I really wanna go deal with these people? No. Then pandemic happened. Then they put a moratorium on all the foreclosures. So guess whose business literally went away? Thankfully, I had like 80 properties in my inventory that were already in that I could work through the pandemic. And then values just kept shooting up. So I made enough, but I had to let people go. So then it's all my runners were let go, my billing person's let go, like pretty much all my staff except for my assistant, all let go. It's the only way I was gonna survive. And then I started building the brokerage with agents. Long story short with that, realized I was surrounding myself with people that weren't my people. Like, don't surround yourself with people who are not your people. If you're moving in a direction and you want badass people around you who are your people that are gonna level you up, do not settle for anybody less than that. Don't cater to people that aren't your people. I tried. Like, I truly tried to, like, Dale, you can't be so, like, judgmental. You can't be so, I tried that. It didn't work. Like, I work with some different coaches. There's some online guys that I'm close with. Andy Elliott, I don't know if you guys have ever heard of Andy Elliott. Andy, I've had sit downs directly with Andy. Like, and I saw what he was building, and that's what made me literally get rid of every one of my agents. And said, you know what? This dude is surrounding himself with badass people who are his people. He's a fit dude. He's into fitness. The people that he surrounds himself with, they're fit. And if they're not fit, they want to be fit. Like, I don't care if you're not fit. You can come, but yo, like, let's get it. Like, let's go get that stuff together, because when you're fit, you feel better about doing things like this. Like, are you uncomfortable in your skin that you won't sit in front of people? but you have something to share with the world, that's not okay. Like, this isn't a religion thing, but God wants you to be your best person. How are you going to be that when you aren't willing to sit up in front of people and share what you know? There's so many people, I'm sure even in the audience, a ton of people who have so much knowledge to share, and they're unwilling to because they're scared of public speaking, or they don't want to be judged by the way they look. Like, thankfully, I learned about fitness at an early age, and I always just stayed the course. And as I got older, it just got something I got more interested in. But being fit has made my life a million times better than if I wasn't fit. When I was a kid, I got heavy at one point, and I knew what that felt like. I didn't like that, And I'm 47. Like, being in my upper 40s, being able to run circles around guys half my age, there's nothing like that. But it's also good for them to look up to. Like, you got younger guys who are like, yo,
Yeah.
when I get older, I would definitely love to be where you are. And I still do it. I see guys that are like in their 70s, I'm like, you're seriously 70 years old? And they're out there doing their thing. Make sure you're surrounding yourself with the people that are going to help you grow. The people that you came up with, they can still be your friends. But if they ain't moving the way you want to move, like, bye. And you have to be willing to do that. I have a lot of friends who are like, oh, we've been friends since grade school. That's why you're stuck in a shitty job in a shitty town still. You wanted to move, but you didn't want to leave your friends. That's, and then when you get to the end of your life, are you gonna be glad you did that? And I do really ask myself one question through, like, I've worked with Tony Robbins, I've worked with a lot of different people, and he will take you to the place, like, when you're on your deathbed, are you gonna regret this decision? Just ask yourself that. Like, hey, if I'm staying in this place, am I capable of more? Like, I may not know this stuff yet, but can I do it? Yeah. And when I get to the end, what's scary? Because when you're laying on your deathbed, you got nothing left. All of a sudden, the shit you never tried, you were scared to do, ain't so scary anymore. So just try to think about those things when I don't want to do stuff. Because I don't want to do stuff all the time.
But it's awesome, and it's funny. One of the things when I think it was last meetup you were here, and I've known you, I've seen you on platforms, and we've talked before briefly, but we were at one of the meetups here, and I remember we chatted afterwards, and I was just like, this guy's got energy, like, this is amazing, and the way you spoke about everything, your passion, just about growth, about mindset, I was just blown away, and so I want people here to experience that. So what are things that contribute to your mindset of you're very strong-willed and you're very positive, and I think that's huge. So give me a couple things of just like being in the right frame to succeed.
So for me, I wasn't born with it. That is the farthest. So backstory, super quick version. Youngest sibling, half brothers and sisters, no brother and sister that same mom and dad. Mom married multiple times. I've seen her have her teeth knocked out, arm broke. I've seen it all. Abusive husband, alcoholic. I've seen her drugged down the driveway because he was going to the bar to meet up with his girlfriend, and she's holding on to his leg. Like, no, don't leave. Don't go to the bar. And I'm like 7. Sitting in the car with my grandpa, my sister in the back, in the neighbor's driveway, and the look on my grandfather's face, he's too old to get out of the car and beat the shit out of this dude. And he's taking care of his grandkids right now. But to look at his face and know what he wanted, and I knew as a 6, 7-year-old kid what my grandpa wanted to do, but he just sat there. Like, I've seen all those kind of things. And then I realized growing up, like, unfortunately, my mom worked 3 jobs. My mom's a great woman. I love her to death. And because of the shit that she went through, I'm able to be who I am. Like, don't disrespect a woman, open doors, carry bags. That's not, I can do it myself. No, it's called respect. So that taught me all those kind of things. But she instilled in me it was okay to quit. I would do sports, I'd quit, wrestle, football, quit. And it was okay with her. When I got to play basketball and had some friends that played and we carpooled, I stuck with it. And then all of a sudden I got good at it. Won most improved player year award, like a month. Once I won that award, I never fucking quit anything. So that instilled in me like, yo, this is what it feels like to win. So then from that point, it was Tony Robbins had these CDs, you know, and keep in mind, I'm 47. Like I had CDs, I'm listening to these CDs, I'm in college. I'm like, because I barely graduated high school. I went to community college. I was like, all right, I don't want to work in a factory, so I got to figure this shit out. I like business. I took accounting courses in high school. I kind of liked it. So I was like, okay, let's do this. And I had to go back to elementary algebra because when I was doing college, the professor was like, listen, you got 2 days to drop this course, dude. You're not going to pass. It's pretty obvious you didn't do anything in high school. You really should go back to like intermediate or even elementary algebra. And I took his advice. He wasn't being disrespectful. He was being a good dude. So I went back to elementary algebra, aced it, studied my ass off, then intermediate. Then I went to college. I aced all of them. They let me skip trig, went to calc. Calc 1, 2, aced every single one of them. And I ended up becoming a tutor in algebra just to prove that I could do it. Like, so I'm not into the math stuff, and I went accounting, but accounting's not math. It's just nowhere to put the numbers. So that's where a lot of my growth started. And even with in college, I'm sitting here looking at this stuff, listening to Tony Robbins subliminals, and like he's telling you how to map out your next 1, 3, 5, 10 years. And if you could have anything, what do you want? Like I wanted like the purple Lamborghini, like just, you know, I'm thinking of all these things I want. I want to make 6 figures by the time I'm 30, because at the time that was a lot of money. And probably like when I was 29 and I was just getting into this and I was starting to get good, and I turned 30, and I was like, wait a minute. And I found like the paper that I wrote this stuff down on, and I was like, yo, I can do this. So I just put my head down, and right before I turned 31, I hit 6 figures for the first time.
That's awesome.
So it's like those kind of things, like writing out your goals. Now I do things that are more like what we call 90-day challenges, where you take a quarter, you sit down, and for me, it's what's called the core 4, your body, being, balance, and business. You literally have to look at every area of your life and say, body, being, balance, and business. So it literally hits everything. So it hits your body, which is your physical fitness, your being, which is your spirituality, your business, and your balance is your relationships with like family, loved ones, all that kind of stuff. So you're going to hit those core areas of your life and more or less say, if I had a goal that I wanted to reach in a year, like what's that look like? And then you try to hit it in 90. Wow. So you try to just you collapse time and try to hit these goals to move faster.
Love that.
You know, like we all think that we can do things in a week that we can't do. But we also think in 5 years, it's impossible to get to something, but it's actually turns out being pretty easy. So if you really sit down and plan it out, and it's just a course correction, it's here's what I want at the end of 90 days. Where do I need to be at day 60, 30? Where do I need to be each week going there? And every Friday, just look at it and say, where am I at? Am I on course? Am I off course? If I'm off course, how do I course correct? And just keep moving in that direction.
That's awesome. I love that. It takes like, it's focusing life in quarters and like kind of going the normal way of like, okay, well I want to accomplish in 3 years, so every quarter I'll eventually get there. But I like how you go, no, 1 year, 3 year goal, 90 days. That's fantastic.
And listen, and I do it, and I'm moving fast in some things, but there's also stuff that I've been trying to do for 15 years and I still suck at it. Like it continues to elude me. But the thing is, I'm not gonna give up. Even, for example, some people are always late. They show up late to everything. And I have some friends who are late to everything. That's just how I am. And I was like, you know what? That's how I am. I end up being late because I put too much on my plate. But that's not who I am. I am going to continue to fight this until I show up on time for everybody, because I've realized it's very disrespectful showing up late. It's just disrespect. Some people sit there and like, it's not a big deal. It is a big deal. Like, now 5 minutes is one thing, you got some and you call ahead, that's cool, understandable. But you're consistently 20, 30 minutes late to people. No, I'm sorry. It's just disrespecting them. And once you get that, if you're a good person, once you get that, you're like, I can't do that to somebody. That's not okay. You know, and it's a do unto others.
Yeah. I like that. And one of the things that the different pieces that you're saying that I think are awesome is you're talking about like the fundamental good pieces of business, and whether we're buying multifamily, whether we're buying REOs, whatever it is, like all these things that you're mentioning are just good fundamental practices. And I like that you're saying that you're identifying them, you have the awareness of it, then you're sticking to it, and then you're not even just doing it, sticking to it, you go further and keep improving it. And I just think it's something that everybody here can listen to and go, what am I not doing out of those things, or what am I not paying attention
And
to?
honestly, being brutally honest with yourself, like, you have to take responsibility for everything, even if it's not yours to take. Like,
So good.
stop pointing the finger at everybody else, point it at yourself. Like, I may have people that let me down on my team. What didn't I give them so that they could do their job better? Like, what am I not doing? You know, it falls on my shoulders, because at the end of the day, it falls on your shoulders. If at the end of the day you end up on your deathbed poor, that's your fault. It is your fault. Once you hit 18, everything became your problem. It doesn't matter if you grew up being molested, being beat, whatever it is, you have to figure a way out of it. Like, I know that I have issues with, just because I didn't have a dad in my life, and when I met him, it didn't seem like he wanted me in his life. I'm like, how can a guy not want his own son, who's not, you know, like, I'm not like the greatest guy in the world, but I got a lot of good things going on. Like, how's my dad? Like, there's an abandonment issue there. It took me years to sit down and say, I have abandonment issues. Like, I literally would push people away before they could push me away. And I know a lot of us do that. We never think about it. People say, it's in the past, leave it in the past. No. Take Pandora's box, open it up, and start killing everything inside of it. Because if you don't, you're never gonna get up to the next level.
So good.
You're just not. Like, because there's gonna be mindset things that just hold you back. That
Right.
You don't think you're worthy, and when as you start reaching something, you're gonna, in your head, cause you to screw it up. See, I didn't deserve it. No, dude, you sabotage yourself. It's just what it is.
I love that. And it's funny because we can talk about that for hours alone. And I don't know if anybody here is interested in that stuff. Like, I just feel like that's so fundamental and foundational to so much of the being of humans and just trying to accomplish things. So I love that. I want to go through a couple questions though. Last questions, things I ask every guest. I'm very excited to hear your answers. First one is, what separates top performing investors or business owners or whoever you want to target just from everybody else in the crowd?
Commitment, 100%. Their emotional, physical, mental commitment to getting to the goal that they've already set out, to attain that level that they want to attain. They've got to be committed.
Love it. What is a daily habit that you do that contributes to your success?
Working out. Nutrition and working out. So everything that deals with my physical body, from what I put into it to how I move it, it 100% is part of everything that I do.
So good. What is a piece of advice you'd give to yourself if you're starting again?
Just believe in yourself. Like, no question, you can do this. The conversation is, you have what it takes to do this. Just go. Like, just go do it. You've got what it, like, you have every. I've heard so many times, like, yo, why are you not doing this or that or this? And it's mental blocks. So you can't allow those things from the past to hold you from moving forward.
So good. Favorite real estate or business book or podcast or?
Favorite real estate. I'd have to say the Millionaire Agent book by Keller Williams. It's just specifically for my niche. They do have an investor one out there too, Millionaire Real Estate Investor. They have a different, and the way that it tells you how to build out teams and how to get to that 5th, 6th, 7th level, it's great. It puts a lot of structure into the business.
They're awesome books.
Yeah.
So good. All right, last question. What is your favorite part of real estate or real estate investing?
It's two. One is making a shit ton of fucking money. And
Amen.
the other is helping my people. Like, I got in the business, first and foremost, and I tell my clients, first and foremost, I'm here to make money. Like, I'm not doing deals for you so I don't make money.
That's
Like, I'm here to make money. But secondarily, the nice thing is I get to make money and help people buy a house to live in, buy a house to invest in, like all that.
Yeah.
So it's cool that I get to help people do that kind of stuff and give them like a bit of an education. When you're out there showing them properties and you're pointing things out, that they're like, dude, I've worked with 5 agents. They usually just open the door and like let me walk around and ask if I have any questions. You walk from basement to point out like, see the water heater, the little rust on there, that means this, and you know, here's some discoloration over here, all you gotta do is get me. They're never told those things. And they're not told those things because the agents have never been, 1, taught properly, 2, they don't got enough deals under their belt to actually know what they're supposed to be doing. And that's where I say I'm not smart. I've just done a lot of deals and fell on my face a shit ton. So I know what's potentially gonna happen. When I see something going a little bit this way, I know where it's gonna end up, so I can just course correct it and bring it back because I've already been down that path 5 times. So just like you doing deals, your first few, you're like, what the heck? But now you can start to, like, you literally can see the field. So you're not in the box, now you see the whole playing field and you know where things are gonna go, where you can get that money. Shit, this money just closed off, I need extra here. I got this investor over here. So you put the reps in, you've made relationships and you're able to just pull it all together.
Love it, so good. I could sit here and talk to you all day, but for the sake of everybody else, we'll wrap it up there. Is there anything else you want to tell everybody before I kind of cut into outros?
Just, you know, make sure as you grow this business, you grow everything. Don't be a one-dimensional douchebag is what I call it. Don't be one-dimensional. Any of you can become really fucking rich, but if your wife leaves you, your kids don't know who you are, you're out of shape, you hate your life, is the money worth it? But on the flip side, you could have a great relationship with your kids and wife, but have no money. Well, guess what? Yeah, you got the love, don't get me wrong. But that money is gonna make things so much better for you and your family. Like, don't ever think that, you know, we're not meant to have a lot of money. We're supposed to prosper in everything that we do. Whatever your belief is, God wants you to be the best at everything. Like, you didn't get put on this earth to be a person, to just be mediocre. Like, and I have to think about that every day because it's hard. Like, we get stuck in this shit. And the day-to-day grind, you're like, ugh, I don't want to do this.
Yeah.
But you have to pull yourself out just for a second and be like, yo, this is not going to get me where I want to go. I've got to do this, and as I start rolling, I'll feel better. There's going to be ups and downs, but I just got to push through. So just please, don't stay one-dimensional. Make sure that you're loving on your kids, you're loving on your spouse, you're dating them, having a strong spouse. And I'm single. Listen, I'm single with no kids, but I know what it means to have a good person on your side. And God willing, I still have an opportunity to have some kids, but just helping those kids grow into good adults, it's your freaking job. Like, it's your responsibility. And if you're a shitty parent, you're gonna create shitty kids. And I'm straight with people. I don't pull punches. Like, we want to just build good. Listen, I grew up not having a dad and not knowing how to be a man. I had to figure all that out. If I had a dad, like some of my friends are really good dads. If I had a dad that showed me the ropes, where would I be at 47? Even mentoring young kids, if you don't have kids, mentoring somebody younger and just trying to help them get where you are at 30, you can get them there at 20, they're gonna go so much further. And then if they pay that forward, that's how everybody gets better over time. So again, we can talk about that all night.
It's so good, and we'll stay after. But let's give Dale a round of hand. Wow, round of applause.